With it being rumored that the 2022 NASCAR schedule is set to come out in mid to late August, many are speculating about what changes might come for the new season. 2022 should be the first season not affected by COVID since the track contracts have ended, and we still know very little about the schedule for next year. That's why I've decided to give it a crack and make my own 2022 NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Before I begin, however, I just want to make clear that this is not my ideal NASCAR schedule, but a reworking of what we have at the current moment to try and make an idea for what we could see in 2022. Now that being said, here are my predictions. Right off the bat in 2022, we run into change. The NFL has moved the championship game back a week, placing it right with the 500. Therefore, NASCAR will have to move all of its Speed Weeks action back a week. But I have a little bit of a different plan. While the 500 will move back a week, I put the Daytona Clash on Saturday night right before the NFL's big game. I also want to shorten the race to 25 laps instead of 35, and for Daytona 500 qualifying, that will be on the preceding Monday evening at 6:30. Just in time for people to come home, eat dinner, and tune in to see who gets the 500 pole. The duels will stay on Thursday evening, and the 500 will be on February 20th, 2022. The start time is 1 p.m. The second race is the start of the West Coast Swing, and we do it on a Saturday night under the lights at Auto Club Speedway. It's the last race on the old config, and since it's being developed into a short track, why not test the waters of a night race just to see how it reacts on the West Coast? Plus, it's still in February, and this could help TV ratings for parts of the country where during the summer, on Saturday nights, there's local racing to watch instead of NASCAR. The next race will be Las Vegas, and it's traditional 400 miles. Race 4 is Phoenix, and then coming back from the West Coast Swing, we go to Texas Motor Speedway. That race has been shortened to 400 miles, and will be run at 2 p.m. The next race is at the newly reconfigured Atlanta Motor Speedway. We open with a 500-mile enduro at the 1.5-mile Super Speedway, and then we go racing under the lights at Martinsville. The next week we go to Richmond and run a nice 400-lap early afternoon event, and then we go on our break for Easter. The week after, on April 24th, we are back on at Bristol for the race on dirt. I've shortened the event to 200 laps because I think the 250 is just a tad too long for the dirt race, and splitting the segments to 60, 60, 80 would help them maintain the surface much better. The next week we go to Talladega, and then it's Mother's Day weekend at Darlington. This is not the throwback race, by the way. That has been moved back to the Southern 500. Then we have a Saturday night race at Kansas, except this race has been shortened to 500 kilometers, or 208 laps, making it a nice Saturday night sprint for the Cup Series. And then we go to COTA. Hopefully it's not a downpour and we can actually give it a chance. I'm a little doubtful still of COTA, but if we can give it a fair shake, then we can finally make a good determination on if we should keep this track on the schedule or axe it for much better options. The next race is the classic Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It stays at 600 miles. It cannot and should not be shortened. Then we go to Dover for a 400-mile event, and then out west to Sonoma, where we run the old non-carousel configuration. Nothing against the carousel, but I have always enjoyed the short chute between 4 and 7 that the stock cars always ran. It always felt like Sonoma was much more fast-paced, and also it would bring back the old Robbie Gordon line that you would get off of turn 4. Then we end Fox's part of the season in the All-Star race at Charlotte. And well, I couldn't think of many crazy ideas for the All-Star race, so I assembled this. It's a 100-lap race. Only green flag laps count, and there are no stages, there are no breaks, there are no mandatory pit stops, there's nothing. It is a straight 100-lap race. The tires that will be run will have a configuration to make them extremely soft and be prone to extreme tire fall off. Not failure, but tire fall off. And the teams will be also given the option to run any spoiler size they please, anywhere between 1 inch tall to 18 inches tall. Whatever they want, it's up to them. And then it's off to Nashville Superspeedway for a good old 400-mile race at the Concrete Superspeedway. Then comes the 4th of July weekend at Daytona. I know the Road America weekend was successful, but this was a tradition and a great event for years. Yes, it was weather affected in 2019, but going back the last 20 years, the race had only been affected by weather on 3 occasions, and only once delayed to the next day. After the July Daytona race, we go to Homestead. Now NASCAR wanted to try and get people to come to Homestead right after the 500. Now in my opinion, that is asking a lot of people to stay an extra week in the month of February, while also paying for another race worth of tickets. But in this scenario, with it being summer and the July 4th weekend, there are going to be a ton of people vacationing in Florida and in the Miami area, and the market is super saturated. So run the doubleheader Florida event then, when there are more people in Daytona than in any time of the year, maybe besides spring break. And after we have our Florida doubleheader, we have our Pocono doubleheader. And then we go to New Hampshire. After the New Hampshire race, we take a 1-week break before heading to Watkins Glen. Then we go to Michigan for race 24. With 2 races left before the chase, race 25 will be the lead up to the season finale. And the lead up to the season finale will be at Road America, a end of the summer bash at a great place to picnic. Then we go to the season finale at Atlanta. They say it's a super speedway now, so let's do it. 400 miles under lights to see who makes the chase. I think this will be a good substitute to save our July 4th tradition at Daytona, while also appealing to the people that want to have a super speedway race be the cutoff race for the final race of the regular season heading into the chase. So now we start the chase with the official throwback weekend at Darlington on Labor Day weekend. Then we go to Richmond and then Bristol for the round of 16. That whole round stays relatively unchanged. Now in this schedule, the round of 12 is even crazier than what it usually is. You see, we kick off the round of 12 at Talladega, and then we go to the Indy Roval. The Indy cars raced here at the same time in 2020, and actually had a fun little aesthetic to it, with it being kind of a fall type tradition. So why not have the Cup Series do it, and maybe even have an IndyCar double header with NASCAR during this time, if they wish to do so. Then we end this crazy round at the Roval. The round of 8 will start under the lights at Las Vegas. I moved it back because it'll help actually get this race under the lights instead of at dusk, which is what this race has kind of struggled with the last couple of years. And I do like the idea of a night race in Las Vegas. And then Kansas is the next race. And then we end the round of 8 at Martinsville. Now NASCAR hasn't done this since 1997, but since we end the season earlier than we used to, why not put a 1-week break before the final race of the year? A whole 2 weeks to hype up the championship race, to really put it on a pedestal above them all, and give this race time to simmer, people to wait and speculate to see what's going to happen. And then we run the title race at Phoenix to determine the NASCAR Cup Series champion. So there you go. That is my schedule. All 36 races and the exhibition races as well. Let me know what you think. I probably didn't get it right completely. You can't appeal to everybody with this thing. I think I introduced some interesting ideas that I would like to see what you guys thought about. So on that, hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you people in the future. Take care.